Percy Jackson and the Curse of Nostalgia Glasses. I saw someone comment this on a video that was defending the new Percy Jackson show, and I think it so clearly encapsulates what is happening with the fandom. And I want to make something very clear. I read these books for the first time when I was an adult. I was not a Percy Jackson kid. I was a Harry Potter Hunger Games kid through and through. And also Twilight, but we're not going to talk about that. But the thing that happened with Harry Potter, with the Hunger Games, and with Twilight is that all of them got good adaptations of their original material pretty soon after they were published. Whereas Percy Jackson did not. It got 2 movies that deviated so far from the plot and the original core of the film that it basically was a different story. And it also got a musical version, which is apparently a lot more faithful to the books, but does not have the mass appeal that films and TV shows do. So for the Percy Jackson show, we are looking at nearly a 20-year gap from when the books were published to when this adaptation is now coming out. And these books are not aimed at adults. I decided to read them as an adult because I was really interested in a TV show and wanted to see the source material. But for those who did read the books when they first came out and were the target audience, are not the target audience anymore. And I don't know about you guys, but my humor and my interests have significantly changed from when I was 12 to when I am now. And there are books that I read in middle school age that I thought were brilliant and the pinnacle of writing that I know now, if they were to be adapted, would probably be very childish. I don't know if anyone else read them, but I really adored the Gallagher Girls series by Ali Carter. And for a 12-year-old from my age range at the time, they were the height of writing. They were extremely clever and really, really funny. And they also had really deep emotional scenes that I felt like I could relate to. And I tried reading them again recently, and they don't hit as hard as they did when I was younger because I am fundamentally not that target audience anymore. And that's completely fine because I still really enjoy those books, and I still think of them as really good books. And I'm not saying that this is this commenter's experience exactly, but I get the feeling that a lot of people are looking at the Percy Jackson series from when they read it 10 or 20 years ago. When yes, at that age, Percy is the pinnacle of sassiness and humor. But from my experience reading the books as an adult, I do really believe that the show really nailed Percy as a character. They really nail his humor down without letting him make light of the severity of the situation. Because that's who Percy is. He's someone who uses his humor to ease the tension and to make his friends feel better, but he's also not blind to the dangers and the horrors that he faces. And reading itself is such a personal experience because you create these characters and these worlds in your head. And when adaptations of books come out soon after the book was published, those two can kind of get conflated and they mix together. So now when I reread The Hunger Games, I do actually picture Jennifer Lawrence and Josh Hutcherson in their respective roles. And this might not be the same for everyone. And I feel like a lot of people with the Percy Jackson series have had to wait so long for an adaptation that they deem good, have almost encapsulated their own ideas of what the world should look like and what the characters should behave like, and have spent the last 10 to 20 years reinforcing their idea of what it should look like in their heads. And so I think a part of the Percy Jackson show had an impossible task, because there was no way that it could appeal to what everyone believed the Percy Jackson series should be. And we as adults look back at these series of books that we read when we were children, and in our minds we still think that'll be the pinnacle of writing, that'll be the height of comedy. But what we view as good humor and being relatable has changed, because it inevitably would over that time. And I'm not saying that you have to agree with me, or that I'm the connoisseur of all the Percy Jackson books, but as someone who read The Lightning Thief for the first time only 3 months ago, this is The Lightning Thief. This is very faithful to what I believe the book to be. And yes, there are a lot of strange plot point changes in the show, but none that I think actually deter from the core of the book. And yes, I am referring to why the summer solstice has passed. I'm wondering if they're going to explain that fully in the next episode. And I'm pretty certain that if the Gallagher Girls books ever got adapted, I would also be pretty disappointed with whatever they put out. But I think at that point I just try to separate them as 2 different entities, because I'm not 12 anymore. But that doesn't mean that I can't still enjoy the show. I do also understand that nostalgia is a really difficult thing to remove, especially when it's so entangled with something we adored. But that doesn't mean that it's also not possible to enjoy the Percy Jackson show if you understand that your nostalgia might be clouding your judgment a little bit. And if anyone hears about them making the Gallagher Girls series into a TV show, then please let me know. Or if you read the books, because none of my friends read them and I really need people to talk to about them.